Pointing bullets. For a lot of competitor shooters, it's a must-have. But up till now, you've had to use a single stage press and take a lot of time to do it right. I'm going to show you a better way to do it. Check this out. So how are we going to point bullets faster and easier than ever? We're going to use the Cortina bullet flow system. So what do you get in the package? Well, let me show you. First, you're going to get the bullet shell plate. They are specific. So this is the 7 mil. There's also a 30, a 6.5, a 6, and I'm sure others will follow. So that comes in the system. That's going to replace your shell plate, which I'll show you how to do in a second here. It also is going to come with the bullet feeder. Now, you might look at this and say, well, maybe I already have a Mr. Bullet feeder. Maybe I already have something like this. It's different, and I'm going to explain why when we get it set up. But you're going to need this. It's part of the system. We also have the bullet extractor. So that is going to allow bullets to go up and come out the top and use his funnel system to get your bullets into some kind of a container as they go. So you don't even have to pull them out of the press. It's very cool. You also are going to get a manual tube system. So if you don't have a Mr. Bullet feeder, don't worry. This works really well. I've done it a bunch, and there's different ways to, consider feeding this that you might want to look at. I'm going to show you how it's hooked up. And then obviously you're going to need a 650 or a 750. At this time, there is nothing for any of the other Dillon presses. And really the 650 and 750 are sort of the optimal press to do this on. They're cost effective. There's lots of accessories for them. It's easy to get bullet feeders, easy to get case feeders. The shell plates are easy to swap in and out. So it's really the ideal system for him to build this on, which I'm glad because I had one. And so let me walk you through sort of the installation and what you're going to want to do. First thing we want to do, we want to get the old shell plate off. So I'm just going to pull back on my case feeding system. We're going to unscrew and we're going to remove, and I know this is horrible because my hand's in the way of the camera, but there's really no other way to do this. We're going to go ahead and pull out the shell plate. So you can see we're going to put that aside. I still need, obviously, my screw here. And then we're going to just drop this on. Now, because this is CNC machined on his lathe system, it is dead accurate flat, which is really cool. There is no wobble to it at all. And I have found that because it is so true, you actually don't even really need to worry about like tightening this down with a wrench or anything. So I just kind of hand tighten it here and just make sure that I can get some kind of a bullet turn on it. Now that's just a hair tight, so I'm going to loosen that up. So there we go. We've got nice rotation on it. Just a hair more. All right, there we go. So now that's going to rotate nicely. Yeah, that's good. That's right where I want it. Okay. Go just a hair more back. All right, so we've got that installed, piece of cake. Now let's look at putting the dies on. So on the 650 and 750, as you know, there's going to be 5 stations. If this was in here, we're just looking at it horizontally here, or vertically. Station 3 is typically where most people are going to put the bullet feeder. Your bullet pointer would be 4 and your extractor would be 5. That keeps everything on the left side of the press, so it's easier to identify any problems if you happen to have one, or just for visually inspecting that things are going right. I can't see too many uses for using stations 1 and 2. However, maybe it's something you want to do. I'm just going to tell you that in playing with it, 3, 4, 5 tends to be the best for me. Now, you can see I've already screwed in my pointing die on station 4. And now we're going to put in the bullet feeder die. And a lot of people might be saying, well, hey, I already have the Mr. Bullet feeder. Can't I just use that? No, you can't. And the reason why is that Erik has designed this die to work off of the shell plate so that when it comes up, it drops the bullet. The Mr. Bullet feeder that you can see here actually works when a case goes up into it and doesn't allow for it to drop a bullet on impact with the shell plate. And I'm actually okay with that because I use my Mr. Bullet feeder both for bullet pointing now, and I use it on that other tool head you just saw for doing seating. So I can move my bullet feeder from tool head to tool head without having to move any dies. So what we want to do is we want to screw this in. And we want it to just we're just going to get it so that it's just compressing the shell plate. Is just pushing up on this because you have to have this dropping a bullet. So now it's really easy to test. I can put a bullet in here and make sure that it comes out. And as long as it does that, you know, and test it a couple times, make sure it's working for you. But as long as it's doing that, you're good. That's all you need to worry about. So now you could tighten this down. Obviously, I have this one already set for me. The next thing I need to put in is the extractor die. Now, you want to make sure that this ramp goes in a direction, typically off the left side of the press, where the funnel and tube system is able to send the bullets into a tray or a bucket or something like that. So we're going to screw this in. Mine comes right out kind of towards the bullet feeding post, and that's what I have found I like. Obviously, you could have it come off the right side of the press as well. It's just a little more challenging. So I would really recommend that you have it come out this direction. And I've already got it, again, tightened down. But in order to test it, what we want to do now is we want to put a bullet on this side and make sure the bullet is held up. You notice there's no bullet here anymore. That's because it's up there. We can throw another one in. Okay, so it's in a good position. I have it just above the shell plate, so about one rotation above where the shell plate is. So there's a little bit of a gap here, but not much. So as long as it's, you know, within like one rotation of touching the shell plate, you should be fine. And then what'll happen is on the third bullet, you'll notice that one's going to fall out here. And that's how it's designed to work. So let me throw on the funnel here. So this is just going to snap into place. It's going to line up with the extractor groove that's there. And then I just have a little bit of Velcro on mine so that I can, sorry, my camera's in the way. So mine has a little bit of Velcro on it just so that it can sit next to the press here and drop off the bullets. So there is the funnel for it. So it is all set up. So let me back the camera up and I will show you a couple different ways that you can operate this. Before we get started, one thing to remember is that because there are no holes on the underside of the bullet holding plate up here, we need to make sure that we move the primer carrier plate to the rear. We want to disassemble it. So we need to take off the spring there, or the rod, and then remove the spring so that there's no tension here. And then you're going to use the supplied block that is going to go here. And that will ensure that you don't accidentally push it too far forward. And now when the plate comes down, you won't be bashing into this. So just a quick thing there. So let's get started. Here is the last component in the kit, and it is this really nice little ramp. And it's hard to tell, but it has a very special contour on the inside, and it is angled specifically and actually curved so that it really does a great job of flipping your heavier 7mm and 30 cal bullets, which traditionally Mr. Bullet Feeder has not been good at. So this is the original ramp that goes in there, and it really struggles. To do the bullets properly. So you're just going to unscrew it. You can see right here, he includes a nice Allen head screw for it. You're going to install that, and then you are good to go on your Mr. Bullet Feeder. So let's get this thing running. I will show you how it works with Mr. Bullet Feeder. You can see how well that bullet flipper is working. And I've even got it turned up pretty high. So that's just loading the bullets. And you can see them coming down into the bullet feeder here. So let me show you the whole package put together. We have the whole system ready to go. We got the bullet feeder up there. We've already got a few bullets that have been fed down. Now it's just up to me to pull the handle. So the bullet comes in, and it just keeps going. That's all there is to it. So All I can say is I bet you never thought you'd be able to point bullets that fast. Now, obviously, you have to set up the die correctly. This is not the video for that like we talked about. But when everything is set up, you can literally go about as fast as that Mr. Bullet Feeder will go. I did 380 bullets the other day in 14 minutes. And that was actually me going a little bit slow, just kind of cautiously going through it. I definitely could go a little bit faster. I will at some point in the near future have another video with this showing it operating with an auto drive. But I thought it was really important to do the first video showing how most people are probably going to use this with just a standard pull handle, their 750 or 650, and possibly a Mr. Bullet Feeder. But I'm telling you, this bullet flow system that Erik has come out with, it's just amazing. There's a lot of times where I've not pointed bullets simply because I didn't want to go through the hassle of it. Now, you know, my plan going forward is I'll probably be doing a lot of bullets at one time. I'll just sort out a bunch. I'll run through, do a batch at one length. I'll make my correction, run the next batch, and I'll be done for, you know, months at a time now. And this just makes it so much easier. So if you're somebody who loves pointing bullets but doesn't like the hassle of doing it on a single stage, and you have a Dillon or want to get a Dillon, this is probably the best thing that you could invest your money in right now. So check it out. I've got it in the description below for the website. These are going to, I guarantee these are going to fly off the shelf. So the sooner you get an order in, the sooner you're likely to get one. So anyway, hope this helps. You guys have a good one. We'll talk later. Before we get started, one thing to remember is that because there are no holes on the underside of the bullet holding plate up here, we need to make sure that we move the primer carrier plate to the rear. We want to disassemble it. So we need to take off the spring there, or the rod, and then remove the spring so that there's no tension here. And then you're going to use the supplied block that is going to go here. And that will ensure that you don't accidentally push it too far forward. And now when the plate comes down, you won't be bashing into this. So just a quick thing there. So let's get started.